Uh, let's open our is yeah. So we're gonna start with revising past perfect. Remember last class, ya nos falta poquito para el examen. A few days for the exam coming next week. Yeah. Yeah, so it was that part. This part, page 91. ¿No? Nos quedamos en page 91. We check the different tenses, past perfect, past simple, past continuous as well. Forget. So let's go to this part, the role swap joining words, page 92. 92. So work with a partner, look at the title of the pictures and tell the story. Tell each other what do you want, what do you think the story is. So look at these pictures, look at these photos of that. Can you see them? Remember?
Yes.
So tell me, what happened here? So we can start with once upon a time, yeah, like the stories, the fables. Once upon a time, there was a professor, no? The professor Higgins from university. Yeah, he was celebrating something. Yeah, and he gave a speech, no? He hadn't given a speech before, so it was the first time. And then we have he met a taxi driver or probably his driver. Number four, he decided to give his clothes to this driver because he was also studying at the same university. So he had the opportunity to become one postgraduate student. Yeah, he hadn't studied university before, so it was the first time that he was walking around, and he was giving a speech. Finally, the the professor, the old man, had sat had sat at the back, and he was listening to the driver's speech. You know, he was listening to the driver's speech. He had never felt so happy. It was the first time that he gave a speech. The driver. Yeah, we don't know what's going on with the story. Yeah, I just made up the story. You notice I just made up. Vale? So why did the professor travel by car? Okay, so ask and answer the question with your partner, but before that, read the story, choose the correct joining words. Choose the correct joining words. Okay, so let's read this story. Remember, read it from the beginning till the end without the answers. Yeah, without the answers. And after you decide, you choose the correct, the appropriate answer. The conjunction. Remember, a conjunction is a word that we use to join two sentences, to join two ideas. So read this in silence, and after you choose a conjunction. Yeah, I'll be here and I play the listening in 3-4 minutes. All right, we play the listening. Listen and check if you were correct.
9.6. The Professor and his Driver. Professor Higgs, one of the world's top astrophysicists, was giving a 6-month lecture tour of universities around Europe. He only had one more lecture to give before the tour ended. Higgs didn't like flying, so he travelled by car. He had his own driver because he was too tired to drive after he'd finished his lectures. One morning, as they were driving to the last lecture, his driver, Harry, said, "You know, Professor, I always sit in the hall when you give your lecture, and I know it so well by now, I think I could give it myself." Of course, Harry was only joking, but Professor Higgs knew Harry was a clever man, and he wanted to test the idea. As soon as they arrived at the university, the professor and Harry swapped clothes. The professor then sat quietly at the back of the hall while Harry gave the lecture. Harry had a fantastic memory and gave the lecture perfectly. He waited until the audience had finished clapping and started to leave the stage. Suddenly, someone stood up and said they wanted to ask a question. Harry listened to the long, complicated question, and then he spoke. That's a very good question, and although it seems a difficult one, the answer is actually very simple. In fact, it's so simple that I'm going to ask my driver to answer it for you."
Okay, very good. So let's check number 1. It is before he had only one lecture to give before the tour ended, not after, before. Higgs didn't like flying. ¿Cuál sería? So, puede ser both. So, he traveled by car. He had his own driver
Because
he was too tired to drive.
After he'd finished his lectures.
After he had finished his lectures, correct. Lectures are like classes, no? At the university, they say lectures, no? When you are a professor at the university, you give lectures, no classes. One morning,
As
they were driving the last lecture, you know, professor, I always sit in the hall.
when
When you give it, yeah, pardon, when you give your lecture, and I know it so well, of course, he was only joking. But, number 7, but the professor knew Harry was a clever. Number 8,
as
as soon as they arrived at the university, at the back of the hall, number 9, while, exactly. Harry had a fantastic memory. Perfectly, he waited
until
until the audience had finished clapping. That's a very question. 11.
although
Although, yes, exactly. Okay, so why did the professor travel by car?
because he didn't like flying.
Correct. He didn't like flying. He hated flying. When did they have the idea of swapping roles? When did they have the idea? Swapping, swap es cambiar. Swap. Swap.
When
When they were driving.
When they were driving, yeah. When they were on the car, in the car, on the car, and he suggested, no, that he could give a lecture. And he knew that he was clever. He knew that he was clever. When did they swap their clothes? When did they swap their clothes? Tienen un poco de ayuda.
as soon as they arrived at the university.
How long did Harry wait before he started to leave the stage? Tienen una ayuda. Until
The audience has finished clapping.
yeah, until the audience had finished clapping. Like that, clapping. Okay, so that is it. Thank you very much for answering this question according to the texts. Okay, our main topic for now, for this today, it is the conjunction. Yeah, the conjunctions. What is a conjunction? A conjunction, it's a word that we use to join two sentences or two ideas. Yeah. Normally, it's one sentence. In the middle is the conjunction, and then you join. Some conjunctions can be at the beginning of a sentence or of the first sentence. Some conjunctions can be at the beginning of one sentence. We have different, for example, so, because, although, why, when, while, before, after, as soon as, until, as. So let's look at this conjunction. So Higgs didn't like flying, so he traveled by car. The conjunction here is so, right? So, entonces, o por consiguiente, yeah? So it's like cause and consequence, no? Cause and consequence. He had his own driver because he was too tired. The conjunction is
Because
when we want to give a reason, yeah, we want to give a reason. Why do you study English? Why do you study English? Because my mom made me study English. Because I needed for my university, because I needed to travel to US. Although is the conjunction that it can be at the beginning most of the times, or all the time it goes at the beginning, yeah, and it is a contrasting conjunction, like but or however. Es un sinónimo de but o however. But, pero, however, sin embargo, although, aunque. So we need a positive or a negative idea, and we have to contrast the idea. Although it seems a difficult question, the answer is simple, yeah? One negative or one like hard, and then simple, yeah? Although, aunque. It's always at the beginning, or most of the time, it's at the beginning of a sentence. Yeah. Es lo contrario que but y however. But y however van in the middle. In the middle. Number two, these we have the connectors or conjunctions of time. Yeah, time connector. Time. Yeah, when, cuando, while, mientras, before, ya saben que es before, after, until, hasta, as soon as, tan pronto como, y as. As es un sinónimo de while. As soon as, tan pronto como, ¿ya? So, for example, as soon as they arrive at university, they swap clothes. As soon as, it could be at the beginning, it could be in the middle, también puede ir in the middle or at the beginning. Vale, he sat at the back of the hall while Harry gave his lecture. También podemos usar as, pero as aquí iría al principio. As he sat at the back of the table of the hall, Harry gave his lecture. Perfect. As synonym of while. As synonym of while. Mientras. Okay, now that we know this, it's your turn to complete the sentences with the conjunction. Yeah. Number one, number three, you have to use although, while, or so. Solamente en tres. Although, while, or so. Number one, who, Joyce.
Sí, soy yo.
Sí, Joyce.
Gracias.
Ajá, so sorry, ya no te escuchamos. Ahora ya no te escuchamos. Can you repeat, please?
Yes. The professor asked the group of driving. So he decided to try it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, very, very little te escuchamos, pero yeah, it's so correct. Number two, Miriam, Bernardo.
Although Harry wasn't a physicist, he gave the lecture perfectly.
Correct, thank you. Number three, Roxana.
The audience listened quietly while Harry was giving his lecture.
While, correct. While. All right, perfect. So number 5, we don't do it because it's the same. It's the same story about the professor. No? And here, tell the story again with your partner. Use the prompts. Yeah, one morning he was driving. It's the same, no? It's the same story for the professor. But I don't know what. Tomorrow I'll tell you about your oral exam. But your oral exam is a little bit related to this telling a story. Pero vamos a practicar un poquito más. So let's go to next page, please. Next page, we have practicing grammar. Sigue the grammar. Choose the correct word to join this sentence with the connectors or conjunctions. For example, when or while the plane landed, I switched my phone on. So the correct answer is when. No, when the plane had landed. If you notice, there is one sentence in past perfect. ¿Notaron aquí? Hay una oración en past perfect que es had landed. La otra es past simple. So this sentence happened first. Okay. So I want you to identify the past perfect as well. You can underline if there is past perfect only. Solamente si hay past perfect. Porque es la única. Yeah, es la única, so sorry. Okay, so do the rest. Only choose the connector. All right. Better, please. Number 2. I cut. Está Veracruz. Fatima, please.
I cut myself while I was shaving.
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 Shaving. Rasurar. Yeah. Correct. No, correct. Perfect. As, ya habíamos dicho que va al principio, bueno, de hecho es the phrase, complete phrase as soon as, no, something different, ¿no? Tan pronto como. Number 3, please. Carolina. Carolina.
Yes. He worked for A and B until he retired.
Until he retired. Yes, correct. IBM, no, ABM, IBM. Word. Pronunciation word. Number 4. Miriam.
I got out of bed as soon as I woke up.
As soon as I woke up. Yes, correct. Please, Roxana.
She listened to music as she drove home.
Yes, correct. It's synonym of wild. Synonym of wild. Number 6, Joyce. 6.
Mm.
We can't hear you. No te escuchamos. We can't hear you. After, no puede ser after. ¿No sería before?
Era before,
Before. Okay.
pero no se escuchaba.
Okay, one more time. Yes. Can you read the complete sentence?
Yes. Before I went to bed, I locked all the doors.
Locked. Locked. All the door. Number 7, please. Roxana, again, please. Roxana.
Es que tengo duda. Yo digo que es before I left school. I lived abroad for a year.
You think so? ¿No sería after? After school or before school? So sorry, it's not before school, it's after school. Yeah. And Fatima, please. We had
a lovely picnic, so the weather wasn't great.
two opposite ideas, porque aquí el clima no era bueno, ¿no? Aquí está diciendo algo positivo. Entonces, ¿qué sería? Although. Ya vimos que si puede ir en medio. No es tan común. Sería mejor decir, although we had a lovely picnic, the weather wasn't great, ¿no? Debería estar al principio. Es mejor usar aquí but o however, ¿no? Pero está bien, it's fine, because the idea is contrasting two ideas. Contrasting, yeah, saying the opposite ideas. Perfect, so we have here 7 minutes left to do this part. Join sentences using the conjunction to put one sentence in each pair of past simple. So both. Okay, let's look at the example. Let's look at the example. It says, I did my homework and I went to bed, ¿vale? Tenemos que usar una conjunction que es when, ¿vale? One of these sentences, una de estas oraciones, one of these sentences must be in past perfect, yeah? First of all, we need to identify what happened first. ¿Qué creen que pasó primero? I did my homework or I went to bed. ¿Qué pasó primero?
I did my
Homework.
Ya normal, ¿no? Porque al revés, no creo. Ya, pero luego pasa al revés. I went to bed and after. A menos que sea in the dreams, in your dreams, you did your homework, right? But it's not possible that. So this is the first action. I did my homework, ¿vale? Y este es the second action. ¿Qué nos dice el past perfect? Past perfect is when something happened before. ¿Qué es before? First action. Entonces, aquí puedo unir la oración I went to bed. Y primero puedo decir I went to bed o puedo hacerlo al revés, pero aquí tengo que usar el connector when. I went to bed when I had done my homework. Esta es una posibilidad, ¿ya? También puedo poner el connector at the beginning. When I went to bed, yeah, when I went to bed, I had done my homework. No se ve. I had done my homework. ¿Hay otra posibilidad de decir esto? Sí, hay otra posibilidad de decir. I had done my homework when I went to bed. Yeah. Podemos poner el conector ya sea at the beginning, in the middle y like this, ¿no? Primero poner la primera acción, pero la primera acción tiene que estar en pasado perfecto, yeah, past perfect. Aquí es muy importante saber el pasado participio de los verbos. Si no sabemos el pasado participio de los verbos, se nos olvida y queremos, en vez de decir I had done, luego me quieren decir I had did. Did es el pasado, ajá, pero el pasado participio tiene que ser a fuerzas done. I had done my homework. ¿Ya? Les ayudo una más porque ya se nos está corriendo, nos está comiendo el tiempo para que ustedes lo hagan de homework mañana. Mañana lo vamos a realizar. ¿Vale? Les ayudo con la última. Number 8. ¿Vale? Carolina, ¿me ayudas a leerlas? Can you read the sentences? Number 5.
Jill invited me to stay for lunch. I arranged to have lunch with Joe.
The conjunction is
But
muy bien. Como les dije, primero, first of all, we need to identify what happened first of these two sentences. ¿Qué pasó primero? Jill invited me or I arranged to have lunch with Joe.
She
It
invited me.
invited me.
invited me.
Are you sure? ¿Seguros?
Mm,
¿Qué es arrange? Arrange es I organize or I made a plan. Made a plan.
mm.
I made a plan. Arrange significa made a plan. Otra vez entonces. What happened first?
I arranged to have lunch with Joe.
Yes, correct. Correct. Exactly. Vale. Entonces ya identificamos aquí the first action, that is this. This is the first. So, this sentence la tengo que pasar a pasado participio, pasado perfecto, sorry. Y tengo que usar la conjunction but. Puedo decir la segunda primero, no importa el orden. Jill invited me to stay for lunch, ¿no? Después sigue la conjunction but, I, pasado participio, had arranged to have lunch with Joe. Entonces le voy a quedar mal a Jill. I had arranged lunch. ¿Vale? Tomorrow, please, we check this, do the rest, number 2 to 7, for homework. ¿Vale? Join the sentences. One of the sentences has to be in past perfect. Yeah? Past perfect. ¿Vale? Identify first, identify